What's up, all you awesome food truckers out there? I am so excited that I get to be the one to facilitate this awesome marketing and advertising food truck class. If you guys don't know me, I'm Hannah. I'm with Square One at Mid-Continent Public Library. We love food trucks, which is why we put these programs on. So, marketing, advertising, and branding is really a tricky subject sometimes when it comes to a food truck. And luckily, I'm not teaching the class. I just get to learn from the experts. So, today we've got Xander and Jackie, and they're going to give you all these awesome insights on food trucking and marketing and all the cool branding stuff that is associated with it. I should let you know that I'm going to be on the back end. So if you guys have comments, please put those in the comments on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, that's cool. You're probably not. Most of our people are watching on Facebook, but if you are watching on YouTube, let me know. We need to keep those statistics. But also just ask your questions, put those comments in. I'm going to make sure that those get popped up on the screen so Xander and Jackie can answer those for you. It's going to be a fun night. So I'm going to fade ever so gracefully into the background, and Xander's going to come up first, and he's going to deliver his amazing wisdom to you guys. And then please stick around. Jackie's going to basically tell you how to be an influencer, which is like, I don't know, super fun. I want to know more about that. I think I need professional photography done though. So we'll get to that later, and then stick around. And if you guys could fill out a survey for me at the very end, that would be stellar for the library. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Xander up and we will get started. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Hannah, so much. Thank you, everybody who's joining us today on your socials of choice. We've got a really exciting program tonight, so happy to have you all here. Super excited. I'm going to go over a little bit tonight about overall marketing, branding, and I'm really excited to pass it off to Jackie to talk to you about how she's rocking it. So let's jump right on into things. I see we've already got folks commenting. Please, all you folks out there, let us know who you are, what your truck is, what your truck idea might be, where you're joining from, and then most importantly, what we want to make sure that we get done tonight is we want to answer all your questions. So as you think of those, be posting them. We may not answer right away, but we'll be coming back at the end of the regularly scheduled program to make sure that we get all of those questions answered. So please share those. Izzy from Alabama, thank you for joining us. That's fantastic. So yeah, introduce yourselves. We'd love to see who you are, where you're from, and of course, post those questions. A little bit of housekeeping. Okay, so the next program, let me get my announcer voice on this one. We'll go with the tagline that I've got. Is your food truck regulations giving you the regulatory runaround? Join our regulatory rundown class November 16th. So on that one, we'll be talking about a lot of all the licenses and permits and legal things that you need to get your truck up and running. And then for those past food truck classes and for the past classes that Mid-Continent Public Library puts on a ton, check out their socials, check out their website to get connected to those videos of classes that have happened in the past. Gosh, all right, we got a ton of folks coming through here. Angel from Kansas City, Missouri, thank you. Julita from KCMO, and then Inca from Shawnee, Kansas. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. All right, let's start with your truck's brand. So the way I like to think about your brand is think of your food truck kind of as a person. It's got a personality, an identity, because that's going to help you with your marketing plans and developing that brand. In fact, customers use the same part of their brain that they interact with friends and family when they interact with more abstract things like businesses, like food trucks. So it's really beneficial from a psychology perspective. If you think about who is my brand? Who is my truck? And a lot of times for a food truck, it may be very tied to you as the owner personally. So that makes it really easy to make that connection, that human connection. Because your customers like to identify with, they want to trust that they'll be getting good food, that they'll have great service. They want to like your business. So thinking of it that way, it kind of opens it up, because a lot of times folks will think of a brand, and this is absolutely true and important, but it's not the whole story, as your logo or as the wrap on your truck or your website or your images that you post on social media. Those are all very important aspects of your personality. I refer to them as the face of your business. So those first impressions are always very, very important. So having a great logo, having a good wrap or design or paint on the truck, having a great website, these are all very important things because they are that first impression, but it does go deeper. Just like with people, it goes beyond just that first interaction, beyond the face of the business. You want to be thinking about some other components in addition to those. I also want to make a note here, as you are developing that brand, you want to keep it consistent among wherever you live out on the web. So whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, your own website, people should know from the consistency of the design and how you communicate and all of those physical design elements that, oh, this is the same truck. We've seen some folks that, maybe somebody else is running the socials. You're like, no, we got somebody else, or I've got a family member, they're really good on social media, I'll let them run it. And then there's a disconnect. Customers get a little bit confused. And it's no different. Let's go back to thinking about your brand as a personification. It would be different if I showed up and I looked completely different. I was wearing clothes that I normally wouldn't wear, and I did my hair a way that I normally wouldn't. It causes a little bit of a disconnect. You're like, who is this guy? And you don't want that. You want that consistency. You want people to connect with your brand and know that, oh, yep, that is that food truck that I had at that past event. Looks the same, feels the same. It just makes it a lot easier for those customers to connect. All right, let's move on. So I want to talk about more, like we were saying, it's deeper when you're talking about your brand. Something that I like to think about is your brand really is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So it's one thing for you to go out onto your website, onto social media, and say, I have the best cheeseburger in all of Alabama. Of course, you would say that about yourself. It's your business. But what's better is when your customer tells one of their friends or family members, and they come up, that family member comes up to your truck, and Timmy said that you had the best cheeseburger in all of Alabama. That's golden. That's fantastic. That's what you want, because when somebody that they know and like and trust, that they're close to, says, okay, you really got to try out this food because it's like awesome, that then you are far more likely as a customer, you're like, all right, I probably should go try this because my good friend told me to, more so than hearing an ad on the radio or seeing a post on social media. So thinking about your brand, what are people saying about you when you're not around? And then another component of your brand that I think folks sometimes don't focus on is it's not just the wrap, it's not just the logo, but it's also how your staff interacts with folks. It's also how you talk and communicate on your social media. You want to keep all of that consistent to the brand, consistent to who that business is, regardless of, if it's you on the truck, if it's one of your staff that's running the truck that day, or if it's you running the Facebook, or maybe it's somebody that you paid that's running the Facebook. Being able to communicate, this is who my brand is. This is how my food truck talks and communicates and interacts with customers. That's a really important thing, and it's very important to keep it consistent as well. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a tangent here because this is a topic that comes up whenever we're talking about brands and logos. Somebody inevitably asks, hey, what about, I've registered my business with the Secretary of State. Nobody can take my name, right? Wrong. Registering your business entity with whatever state regulatory agency that you need to do that with, perhaps it's the Secretary of State very commonly, that's not preventing anyone else, and it's not necessarily intellectual property. It's not protecting that name and logo. So what you're looking for actually is a trademark. Easy enough. You might see the little TM. It's kind of an official-ish dibs on your logo. There's really nothing you have to do to put the little TM on there. That is different than Circle R, which is fully registered with the trademark office, and that's going to provide you really the protection that you would want as far as intellectual property for your logo and name. And then that's different than copyright, which is for creative works. So if you published a book of recipes from your food truck, that might be something that would be protected under copyright law. So I just wanted to take a little tangent there. It's a very common question that we get from folks. But just registering that name is a very minimal requirement, typically with your state, just to say, hey, I'm doing business, and I'm doing business as this particular name, and I would like this entity status. That is a separate thing than trademark intellectual property protection. All right. Jumping back into marketing. I like to go over kind of just definitions here. I like saying marketing is like the art and science of reaching your customers. It is the overarching term that your brand and advertising and social media all fit under. So if you're thinking about your overall marketing, you want to keep that all consistent. You want to make sure that you're thinking of your overall marketing strategy, whether you're paying for ads or you're doing particular events or you're on certain social media. That should all tie in together strategically under your overall marketing strategy, which is basically you thinking strategically about how you connect with the people that give you money for food. And most importantly, your marketing ultimately needs to have a measurable return on investment. I know a lot of food trucks, they're like, I'm going to run these ads, and I'm going to, be on these social media platforms. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You have limited time and resources, most likely. If you don't, good for you. But most of the food trucks that we work with, you've only got so many hours in the day. You can only do so much. So your time is valuable. Your money is very valuable. You want to make sure if you're spending that time and money on any kind of marketing, advertising, social media, any of that it's strategic. And at the end of the day, you get a return on investment for it. Also an important note, your paid advertisements, your social media, these are all very powerful marketing tools, but in and of themselves are not a marketing strategy. So let's dig into this a little bit more. On the next slide, we kind of go over just kind of the steps to think through. As you're thinking through, what am I doing with marketing? I recommend that you always start with a measurable goal. I want to get X new customers. I want to get X number of engagements on a certain social media platform. I want to get X number of new visitors to my website. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that you can and have the ability to measure. Then you think of an overall strategic plan. So what's kind of the goal? Who are we targeting? What is the messaging? What are the overall plans? Then we dig into the fun part where a lot of folks like to start, but we want to build in that strategy. We want to build in making sure that we're getting a return on our investment. But the tactics part is the fun part. That's the stuff that you're doing on a daily basis. That is the posts that you're doing on social media, maybe the competitions that you're doing, or the events, the things that you're doing while you're out in the public, promotions that you're running, any of that stuff are the daily tactics, the fun part, the like on the ground, how you're connecting with folks. You just want to make sure that all of those efforts are part of a cohesive strategic plan to get you a return on investment. So you want to be able to build in a regular or a final review of that marketing strategy. So after a month, after a couple months, every week you go back and you say, we've done these things and we've spent this much time and we've spent this much money. What have we gotten for it? So let's go over just a real basic hypothetical example of this. So maybe your goal is you want to get 30 more private events in 6 months. Private events are great. It's guaranteed revenue for you. So it's a great goal to set. Then as far as your overall strategic plan, obviously you're connecting with those event coordinators. So we're narrowing down the focus of who we're trying to communicate with. And then we're developing an overall message. You want to say, hey, my truck is a great value and we're convenient to work with. That's something that's important to event coordinators. They want to make sure the truck's reliable. They don't have to worry about things. It's very easy for them to get you plugged into their particular event. So you want to build communication around that, targeting those event coordinators. And then the tactics are those daily, you're doing posts about, we were at this private event, we were doing a wedding and everyone had an awesome time. We can do your event. Maybe there's a referral program that, hey, if you know any other event coordinators in your circle, let them know about us and we'll have some benefit. We'll give you, a discount on your next event or whatever it may be. Or maybe you're one, businesses run events regularly. So maybe you're connecting with a local chamber of commerce that kind of is more targeted towards those business owners and managers. So maybe you've identified, hey, that makes sense. Maybe we promote with them or run ads with them, putting specific signs on your truck like, hey, we do private events, just letting you know. And then another important one, is there's a concept in retail of being a loss leader. Basically, you sell a thing for a loss to get further sales. So in this case, doing events that aren't necessarily making a lot of money, but maybe they are strategic. Maybe it is with a particular business group, or maybe it is with a group of event organizers that it doesn't necessarily matter to you that you're not selling a lot of food there, but the return on investment is the connections, and you're doing that strategically. It is like the Costco chicken. The Costco chicken doesn't make the money, but you get in there to get the chicken, and then you're like, I got to buy an elliptical, or whatever else that you're buying there. Exactly. Great example there. And then most importantly, after 6 months, doing your return on investment review, did you get those 30 extra private events that you otherwise were not anticipating? And if you did, awesome. Keep that strategic plan, keep those tactics. You know that they work. If they did not, that's okay. You tried something new. That is good. You will have marketing strategies that don't work out. That's all right. But now you know. You limited the time frame. You reviewed it and you said, "Whew, this is probably not, maybe I don't want to go to this event again because I didn't get, connections. Maybe I don't want to run these ads. That costs money. It's not getting the return on investment that I want." But you know that now, and you can try something new, which is really important. So that's why you want to think strategically, kind of like a science experiment. You got a hypothesis. I think if I do these things, I'll get this result. And then you look backwards and you're like, hey, did that work out? And if no, okay, no problem. We'll try something different. If yes, great, awesome. Keep that in your back pocket for the next time. Whew. All right, so that is my real quick rundown on branding and marketing. But most importantly, I want you guys to hear from somebody who has been rocking it, doing this on a daily basis with a magnificent marketing strategy and a bomb brand. Jackie Nguyen with Cafe. I'm delighted to introduce you to our virtual guests. Like I said, this is somebody that's been doing this successfully. So I just wanted to give you that brief introduction and let Jackie take it away and share her experience and wisdom on what has been working for her. So Jackie, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. I'm so excited. No, I'm so you did a great job also. I had to say, I was taking my notes too. Always good to kind of refresh your brain about marketing. And I'm just super excited to kind of talk to everyone here about my experience and the do's and don'ts, or just things that I've learned. That's me. There's my truck behind me in that photo. And let's start. So yeah, that is my food truck. It's technically like a tiny home that I had bought off of Facebook Marketplace, and it's painted. I got a local artist to kind of, graffiti it with my logo. So you can see that's my logo. And let's keep going. Okay. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of show you my current social media stats. Instagram just hit 14K as of like 2 days ago, which I'm so excited about. Twitter, we're at 785, and TikTok, we're at 115. So this is really important stuff because the numbers are not important, but what is important is that the amount of people that do follow you, how many of them are like organic, how many of them are actually following because they want to follow your truck and stuff like that. So don't focus on the amount of numbers. Like that we obviously that was a huge milestone for us to hit like 14K. But what is more important is that they're all organic. And what organic followers means is that they saw you on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, or whatever, and they decided to click on it. You didn't buy them. You weren't like a robot, whatever. Lita, I have been in business for 1 year. 1 year. That's it. That's all I've been in business for. So next slide, please. So this is what I do. This is why I'm literally giving you real life, like what does Jackie do for my coffee truck? And as far as marketing and social media goes. So I post 2 times a day on Instagram. I post stories, like Instagram stories, every day. I do 1 tweet a day. I try to post on Facebook once a day. And right now we're slowly building up our TikTok 2-3 videos per week. I am not good at TikTok. It's very foreign to me. And so that is something I'm slowly starting to learn. But Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, I'm pretty at least I understand the concept of it. So that's exactly my current plan and what I do right now for my shop. And I do it myself. Okay, this is very, very, very important, you guys. Your social media equals free commercials. So this is why I say, don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about, likes. What you should think about is that these are platforms that you can have free commercials on. You get to promote your stuff. You get to, introduce yourself to people. People get to watch, how you're building your truck, where you're going to be, how you're branding everything. It's completely free real estate for you to promote yourself. And so I definitely take full advantage of it because it's free. It's free. And so I always try to emphasize, you gotta be putting your stuff out there because this is a platform that everyone uses every single day. And if their eyes gets on it, that's free marketing. So definitely utilize it. So one thing that I like to talk about is your brand. And I know that Xander touched on this, but what your brand is not your logo. It's not your truck. It is not what you're selling. If you're selling ice cream, if you're selling chicken, if you're selling coffee like I am, that's not your brand. Your brand is actually you. Okay. So you are your brand. And I know that's sometimes you're like, but no, like my ice cream truck is my brand. No, it's not. It's actually who you are. And that's going to be the most important throughout your entire journey of owning your business and your truck, is that your brand has to give a sense of who you are. So I like to talk about focusing on the why and the what. Okay. So take my example. What is it that I sell? I sell Vietnamese coffee. And what is it? It's a coffee trailer. So that's the what. But what is my why? My why is that I want to amplify the Asian narrative. Okay. So my coffee truck specializes in Vietnamese coffee. Okay. We serve coffee from Vietnam that helps serve the farmers and the crops in Vietnam. I have flavors in my drinks that are influenced by Vietnam and Southeast Asia. We only work with small businesses, local small businesses, and a lot of them happen to be Asian and Asian American owned. And that's purposeful, because what I want to do with my truck is I want to sell coffee, but I want to amplify the Asian narrative. So that's my why. And how am I going to do that? Okay, so I have to use my voice, I have to use my story, and I have to use my perspective. And this makes your brand unique, because no one else has a story, no one else has my voice, and no one else has my perspective. Okay. So that is, I know, a lot of you are either starting or you have your trucks right now. And that's such a key element to think about, because you are probably going to be in this truck majority of the time. So a lot of your customers are going to see who you are. And if they don't recognize you through your phone or through social media, it's going to be really hard for them to like continuously support your business. So next, okay, I'm going to give you guys some examples of what my actual social media and what we do. So if you see this, well, yeah, there it is. There you go. Can you see it? There you go. The post that says storytelling. Okay. So we sell this spicy, like gummy bear candy in our truck, and made by a Vietnamese candy maker in town. And we also sell hot Cheetos. And our brand is really fun. We're really loud. I am really loud, equal my brand. And so we really love to have fun in a lot of our social media, but we also like to tell stories. In this post, we were like, hey, grab a snack, chill with your friends, like blah, blah, blah. And because the main demographic of people that come to our truck are Gen Zers, millennials, this is a very bright, fun, type of post. And we're purposefully trying to appeal to that. Okay. The second example that I put up is product explanation. So you're going to need to talk about your products, right? So that drink that I posted, not only is it showing one of my drinks, but it's showing my branding, right? When Xander was talking about consistency of branding, you can see the colors are really vibrant. You can see my logo. You can see that it says coffee. And then last but not least, have fun. Y'all, life is too short. Have fun with your branding, have fun with your social media. Why not, right? Like, it's your social media, it's your company, it is your food truck. You should have fun with it. And we definitely have fun with it. We don't take ourselves too seriously. It's a food truck. Like, you know what I mean? You got to have some fun. And that's just my perspective. I think food trucks are super fun. They're mobile, they're hip, they're so different. But you got to remember, like, why did you start your own business? To have some freedom. And you have to remember to kind of find joy in that. So we make sure our social media is really fun. So more examples of how social media can help. We do event announcements. So every week we throw an event. So we make sure that we tell our followers what the event is, and where it's at, very important information. You want to also amp up your followers. So tell them, hey, we're going to be at this carnival in 2 hours. Can't wait to see you there. Are you looking forward to coming? DM us if you're coming by, things like that. And then last minute changes. So if you're new to food truck life, welcome, welcome. Let me just tell you, if it rains, if it's too hot, the weather will mess you up. And the way that you're going to communicate with your customers and your audience is through social media. So you have to tell them, hey, we're closed today. Sorry for the inconvenience. Or like, our generator's out. It's not working. We got a flat tire. I'm telling you, you got to have these posts on lock and ready to post, because at any point something will go wrong. Has to me all the time. And this is just one example of many of how social media can be so helpful in not just marketing your business, but communicating to like customers and stuff like that. So that is what I want to emphasize a lot, is you need to use your own voice. You are literally what makes your truck unique. And that is what you need to hold on to. And a lot of people think they should focus on the product. Your product should be good. If you are going to open up a food truck, that should be automatic, that your food should be good and that it should be like different, or, you're providing it where, there's not, like, say you're going to have like wings and there's going to be like a carnival, like you want to have the best wings there. But that's like automatic. Like, we know your food's going to be good. What will set you apart is you, like you, the owner, the person kind of like in charge of the whole business. Like, you are the only person that has your own voice, so you should use it. Okay. This is one thing to kind of homework wise. You want to look at your social media, either if it's your Instagram, whatever platform you use. I personally love Instagram. Does your social media show your face? Does it display your voice? Does it have an overarching brand? Like, so does it have a color palette? Does it have logos? Does it have a look? Does it give off the invitation vibe? Okay, so I learned about the invitation vibe through a marketing class that I took a long time ago, and here in Kansas City. And they talk about when you go to a party, say you're invited to a party and they open up the door, like, does the host, do they know what you look like? Do they know what your voice sounds like? Can they kind of predict what you're going to wear to this party? Do they know what kind of appetizers you're going to bring? Who are you bringing to this party, right? Like, is it going to be a surprise? Your social media has to have all these elements. And this is why. Because when they come up to your truck, they're already not knowing what you serve, right? Like, for example, they're coming up to my truck. They don't know anything about Vietnamese coffee, right? So that's already going to be like new and a surprise to them. If I only, promoted on my social media my coffee, and I never put my face up there, my voice, nothing, they walk up to the truck and they're like, whoa, I didn't know this like little Asian girl was like serving Vietnamese coffee. It then gives them more to kind of be like, oh, I don't know if I trust this. But if your social media already shows your face, has your voice, has a brand, they're walking up and they're knowing what to expect, so that the only thing that they're really like, super excited to try is this food. And there's already an established like trust, because you're like, oh my God, I follow you. Like, you serve the best ice cream ever. Like, I'm so excited to try your new flavor. Like, the customer feels very much like they've established a type of relationship with you. And that's super important, especially when you're mobile, because you're going to be traveling so much. You're going to be meeting so many new people, lots of different, demographics, age groups. And it's just a best etiquette for you to show your voice, show your personality, who you are, so that when they walk up to their truck, they feel like a connection. You don't want to keep surprising customers, because if your food and the things that you serve is already going to be different, let's not give them more to be anxious about. Okay. Okay. So budgeting is very important. It is just because the apps are free, like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, you have to keep a budget for marketing. It is just the most important, because as a food truck, you're traveling clearly. you're going to be in different places all the time. And you need to tell your customers where you're going to be. You need to tell them, your hours. You're going to need to tell them, your menu. There's so many things that they're not going to be able to come to you consistently. So it's just very important for you to keep in mind that you keep a good enough budget allocated for marketing. I spend a lot of money on marketing per month, like a lot. To me, the most that I've spent on marketing is actually absurd, because I truly believe that is how my following and how Kansas City got to know me, is because I just went in on marketing, because that's all I had. I didn't even have a truck yet, and I already started marketing because I knew my brand, I knew my voice, I knew what I wanted to do. Right now, I've narrowed it down to about $500 a month, because I've just cut so many costs, and I've like gotten the hang of it, and I like can do so much of it myself. But at the peak of like what I was spending, I was probably spending at least $1,000 a month just on marketing itself, and I treated it as if it were just as important as like cups or the actual coffee beans or a bag of ice, or, truly, because I needed to take photos, I needed to edit stuff, I needed to pay someone to do it. So the things that I want to kind of talk about are photo shoots, editing apps, having a social media manager. This is so key. So time is money, y'all. Time is money. And if you do not mess with social media, if you're like, I don't mess with that, it's not my forte, you need to find someone that knows how to do it and that you trust to do it for you. Okay. If you do not know how, hire someone who does. And if you do not have the time, hire someone who has the time. Okay. And so it is very, very, very important. And it's truly key to a lot of your success is how well you market. And why we put such an emphasis on social media is because like everyone's on their phone right now. That is like the biggest marketing tool, like YouTube, like you can literally I just dropped my phone. You can literally access everything from this little thing. Okay. And I wanted to break it down, right? Like if you budgeted $500 a month and you had about 6 to 9 events per month, you're averaging $55 per event on marketing. So you're investing $55 per event to know that you're trying to market it, you're trying to promote it, you're trying to do all this stuff, so that each event you're like, okay, I'm going to put down $50 to make sure that like that's my marketing budget. And if I, so that when people come, like they'll buy your stuff, right? Like I'm telling you guys, you've got a budget for marketing, and that's just the reality. You cannot keep you got to spend money to make money. It's just the reality. And that is the truth with food trucks too. Okay. So this is my experience. Maybe other people can chime in and talk about their own experience, but for food trucks, how people need to find you on the phone: Google, Apple Maps, and Yelp, complete nightmare. Complete nightmare. Because it takes so long to change like locations and stuff like that on those type of things. Like I know Google is really, really difficult to keep continuously like changing your location for people to find you. So Google, Apple Maps, and Yelp are really, really difficult for people to come find you, because they're going to keep looking things up. Maybe Yelp didn't update it, or maybe Google didn't update your location. So those things, just to think ahead, are really difficult for people to come and find you. However, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you have hands, on deck for that. And that is very food truck friendly. So I always keep my schedule at the top of my bio on Instagram. And I put my hours, I put, little emojis to kind of show people like where I'm at. So Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the best ways for you to communicate where you're going to be at a certain date and a certain time for your consumers. Okay, so tips and tricks. I like to plan a photo shoot for the entire month. So what I do is I take one day, I hire a friend who's really good at photography. You can hire professional if you want, but to start off, I would just have a friend who is really good with her phone and plan a photo shoot for the entire month. So look at the month ahead. So for example, let's look at November. Okay. November, there's going to be pretty cool events that I'm going to be at. We're going to be doing like a charity event for the Love Fund. There's going to be like my birthday is in November. And then there's like Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then into the holiday season. So I would plan a photo shoot for about 4 hours on a day off. And I would just write down and list all the things that I want to post about for the month. And I try and plan a photo shoot around it. So props from the dollar store. I will, map out like, oh, like let's go look at this pumpkin patch and let's have a photo shoot there and do all the product photos there, so that you have just a library of content for you to be like, bam, I'm gonna post this tomorrow. Bam, I'm gonna post this the next day. So you're not worried or panicked like, oh my God, I need to take a picture so I can like post it. Plan ahead. It will save you so much stress and anxiety. And really all you have to do is allocate like a day to it and have a friend help you. And that's all I did for the first 3 months of my business. Photo shoot, photo shoot, photo shoot. And people were like, dang, you have a lot of photo shoots. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to be stressed out this week about what photos I need to post. What even if it's just like of a coffee mug, like you have things. Like if you want to take a picture of this chicken wing, you take that chicken wing and it's something, right? Another tip, copy templates. Templates are there, honey. Go on Pinterest, be like social media templates, and there will be like thousands of things that pop up. Copy them. They are there for you. They are there for you to literally copy. And then next, set alarms. So I definitely think that you should be setting alarms to remind yourself to post. If you are the one doing your social media yourself, I'm cuckoo bananas. And so I need alarms for literally almost everything that I do. Alarm vitamins, alarm wake up, alarm social media, so set alarms on your phone to actually remind you, because the day will get ahead of you and you'll forget and you just will lose the momentum. And you want social media to be a habit. Okay, she asks, what times do you think it's best to post on social media, and do they vary by platform? Yes, so they do. I've learned that on Instagram, depending on where you are, is very important. East Coast, West Coast, and Midwest. So when I lived in California, a lot of the posting varied because of your friend group, your demographic, all that stuff. So you have to make you have to make sure that you're posting on West Coast time. East Coast time, obviously the same, more delayed. And then in the West, for me, I'm in the Midwest. I make sure I post on Instagram in between the hours of 8 and 10 a.m. and then in between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. And this is because people are waking up, they're getting on their phones, they're eating breakfast, they're looking through their phones, and then they have to go to work. And then after that, when they're done with work, they're coming home, they're getting ready for the night to go to bed. That's when you have to try to really engage. And sometimes if you can catch them on their lunch break, 12:30 to 1:30 in the afternoon is a really good time to TikTok algorithms are very different. I know there's really late night ones where, 3 a.m. is a good time to post or something like that. Is crazy. But yes, so they do vary. They change. So trends will change. And so I can't really give you a super concrete answer to that, but it definitely does depend on what platform and where you are located. Okay, so these are some things that I use. Okay. Apps for your phone. I have an iPhone, so I don't know if these are Android friendly, but I'm so sorry if they're not. But Canva is amazing. Okay. Canva, 1000% highly recommend, 10 out of 10. You can create, there's hundreds of thousands of templates that you can use. It's so user friendly, like so easy to use. I highly recommend it. And I do recommend paying for the professional version, which is an extra $4 and 99 cents. And you get like cuter logos or cuter, like whatever. I pay for the Canva Pro because I use it every single day, twice a day. It's awesome. Planoly is awesome for people who don't really think about posting. It's an app where you put in all your posts for the week or the month, you put all the captions and you just set alarms and it does it for you. So it's a little bit kind of like a personal assistant. Clipmatic is a one-time fee. It's $4.99, and it's amazing because you need to have your videos captioned. Not only because there's a whole community of deaf and hard of hearing that want to be customers. It's obviously very important to be as communicative with all communities as possible and have as much accessibility as possible. But also, there are a lot of customers that do not have their sound on when they watch Instagram or if they watch Facebook. So it's great if you have your videos captioned because, there are a lot of moms or dads who are, at home and their kids are napping and they can't have their phone on. So they're like scrolling and they're kind of reading through everything. Or if they're on the subway in New York and they don't want to be disturbing anyone, they're reading, right? Like a lot of people, they misunderstand or they just think that captioning is just for accessibility, which it is. Obviously, it's amazing, but it's such an amazing marketing tool for people who don't really want to have their Instagram all black. Okay. And then Repost is free. And I highly recommend this because when you do events, you're going to interact with a lot of different marketing people. You're going to interact with a lot of different businesses. Sometimes they don't send you images or they don't send you any type of, social media, anything, because they are just so busy. And you want to be able to post that on your page and you don't want it to be like ugly and blurry. So Repost is a great way to be able to repost other people's events or their social media posts on your page. And so that's something too, because if you're like, oh, they didn't send me the images to promote this event and I need my audience to know, you can just go on their page and repost it for free. So those are great tools. Okay, so more tools. I just love giving y'all tools, okay? Like giving you some homework. This book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. If you are not a reader and you lazy, go on YouTube and YouTube him because he is amazing. He has so many TED Talks, but go to the one where he talks about branding and why. And it changed how I do my business. It changed completely because remember what I said before was like, you guys got to focus on your why. That is truly like the best advice I've ever gotten. And it was from this book. And basically a big example that he uses a lot is Apple, the company Apple, and why they are so successful because they don't focus on like how cool the technology is. They talk about how it can help the person, how this phone can integrate with this iPad, with this, Apple Music, Apple TV, this laptop. Like it's just so user friendly, and they focus on why because they want it to be a technology that's for the people, and that's what they focus on in their marketing. And so again, I'm gonna take it back to my coffee shop. Like I sell cups of coffee, but what why I'm doing that is because I want to bring more amplification to the Asian narrative in the Midwest. There's not enough Asian businesses here in the Midwest. There's none that really have like a big platform. There's not that many restaurants or, cuisines that aren't like, just kind of your typical Chinese restaurant or your Vietnamese pho house. It's just, there's no big platform or community center in the Midwest for the Asian community. And so that's why I started my truck, is because I wanted to be able to bring that to different communities. And so I focus on that. That's the thing that I focus on. Of course, I want my coffee to be good. I want it to be delicious. I want people to love it. But when I think about marketing, I have to think about my why. And then another free resource is SCORE Mentorship. I truly believe in the power of having a mentor. I have 3 mentors currently, and they've truly changed my entire trajectory of how I run my business. Because if you don't know what you're doing, which 85% of us do not know what we're doing, you got to ask somebody who does. I'm telling you, when I started this, I did musical theater before. I never owned my own business, let alone a food truck. And I had to ask for help. I didn't know how to open my business. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to do anything. And so there's this program called SCORE, and it's all free, and you can sign up for a mentor. And this mentor, the mentors range from all different types of people, but majority of them are very experienced in business, and they just help other business owners. They help them learn, they guide them through the process, and it's free. It's free. And so definitely utilize that. And also, I didn't include this, but the library. Such an amazing tool. Okay, next. Awesome. So please do email me. That is my email. I check the email, myself, because I do all of it myself. If you do have questions, I have my business plan. I've shared my business plan. It is like 40 pages long, but if you're in the middle of opening a business plan, for your food truck, I'm happy to share with you what I did. I think it's, and when I was starting, I had other coffee shops send me their business plan if they, offered. I'd just need to look at it. And it was just so helpful to see someone else's like template and what they wanted to do and their vision, and kind of like give yourself a moment to ask yourself, like, how do I envision my business, and can I put this down onto words? So, yeah, so that's me. Oh, there should be more slides. Hold on. I think I have more. No? That's it, right? I think that's it. Okay, good. Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay, so my glasses are on now because I'm smarter, and this is how I'm like showing everybody. So I do, I want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity like to digest that information. And if you guys have questions, obviously feel free to drop those in the comments. I can pull like the screen back up here real quick. Just a few ideas. Thank you so much, Jackie, for shouting out the library. The fun thing about librarians is that we're professional Googlers. So if you have questions on stuff, like try Googling them. Like, you don't have to be a professional Googler to just type in like your exact question, because chances are there's probably a thread somewhere and like a bajillion answers on that already. That being said, check out your local library, because we would like to Google that with you, not only because we want to help you, but we want to make sure that you're getting good information too. We're good at weeding out the bad stuff. So we've definitely dropped in some links in the comments to some of our other classes. Jackie had mentioned Canva. I commented that Canva is actually my religion. So I teach a lot of Canva classes. And so if you want to learn more about that, we've got videos on that beautiful, beautiful platform. And then, ask other food truckers. That's something that I've learned along the way. I'm not a food trucker, but we've been doing these classes for a really long time, that the best experience you can get is talking to other food truckers, talking to other people who've done it, learning from their mistakes. Ask if you can work on their truck for an event or for a weekend, and like really embrace like the food truck culture, because you might think it's going to be one way, and then it's like 150 degrees and maybe it's not for you. So
if your food truck experience is from that movie, is it Chef? What's the movie? Like,
yeah, it's Chef.
That's too glamorous. That's not what you should get on a truck with these folks. They would be happy to have you. If you've never been on a food truck before, you got to get that experience before you jump into it.
And you know what? Sometimes we need to say this too. Go eat at a food truck. If you've never experienced a food truck in your city, in your state, like, don't go to the food truck that is owned by the giant organization that has like 20 trucks. Like, go experience a local food truck, go experience a small business and ask them your questions. Like Xander said earlier, we've got their regulatory rundown for if you're, what was your little catchphrase, Xander?
Are your food truck regulations giving you the runaround? Try the regulatory rundown class, Tuesday, November 16th.
I think you are hired for the local news. That was great. But yeah, so I mean, if regulations are actually making you want to pull your hair out, we've got that class on November 16th. That's going to be with Xander. He's delightful. And then we've got all of our other food truck classes, the previous ones, on our Business of Food Trucks Facebook page. You're probably already on that, so just make sure to smash that like button, smash that follow button, and share it with the other people in your life that want to start a food truck. So here's your yes, I didn't even have to ask for questions for a question to pop up, you guys. This is kismet. So Angel or Angel has a question about insurance for food trailer businesses. Can someone send some good companies to obtain quotes? Xander, this looks like maybe a you question because it's not a me question.
Hey, Angel. Yes, I can definitely send you some local KC options there. But for everybody listening, and this is something we can dig into more on that regulatory class because it is an important component there. Just generally speaking, this is one of those things, like Hannah was saying, connect with the other food trucks, see who they work with. You want an insurance company that is familiar specifically with, mobile food units. They have their own, you got food. It's got its own unique liabilities. You're putting it on wheels and taking it down the highway. More levels of liability. So you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that, like, there's one of those large insurance companies that says, like, we've seen a thing or two, we know a thing or two or whatever, but like, that is true. You want to work with an insurance company that knows food trucks, that works with food trucks, that has experienced, knock on wood, not that you have to make a claim, but has experienced those unique situations that arise from, unique things to food trucks, like taking a fryer down the highway, or generators, outboard generators and propane, all those unique things. That's what you're getting insurance for. So you want to have somebody that is familiar with that kind of stuff.
I use Flip, and Flip is not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. It's like in the middle. But it is a food truck specific company just for food trucks. And it was like very highly recommended by the dude that runs the commissary and that I go to. And so I was like, yeah. And I just asked all the questions. I didn't know what a commissary was before I even started. And I was like, what's a commissary? Why do I need it? And you are going to need insurance for sure, because you won't be able to sign up for a commissary unless you have insurance. And you need a commissary to run anything if you are trying to get through the health department. It's so you'll learn as you start developing your business that like what needs to happen in what sequence. But as far as that goes, I use Flip, FLIP, and it's been great.
Excellent.
This just Lovely little comment from Basia.
Oh, excellent.
Hi,
Well,
Basia.
and Jackie, I did want to say, like, one of the reasons I love working with food truck operators is just how, like, open and helpful, and like you just saying, like, oh my gosh, I'll give you my business plan. Here's my personal email address. Like, that is fantastic.
How else are people gonna know? Like, and that's how I learned. I asked everyone. I was like, "Can you sit with me and have coffee? Like, what do you need to do this? Like, how did you do this? Like, you know." And when I moved to Kansas City, I had meetings with so many different food truck owners. Excuse me, and they're my best friends now because they really were there looking out for me. And you will run into the same amount of people, the same food trucks. You will work the same event, so you will become friends. And there have been times where my generator stopped working, and then another food truck plugged me into their generator to help. Like, there's going to be tons of times that you will need help from different food truck like businesses. So
this is true, and I love those stories of the food trucks helping each other out. Like, don't worry, I got you. I got an extra generator, or I can plug you in.
Yeah.
I'll throw my own question for us to answer, because this is one that comes up often with marketing, and something we didn't touch on is bad reviews. Like, it's gonna happen, and it could very likely not be your fault. It could just be somebody that's confused, and it was a similar business name that they're reviewing on. So the question is typically, how do you deal with that, whether it's legitimate or not? And my recommended approach, because I'll see folks that end up on either side of this, either they're too defensive or aggressive, or they just try to ignore it. And I don't recommend either of those paths. Some folks are like, I'm going to rise above it. I'm just going to ignore it. But what you need to think about is that review, wherever it lives, is communicating something about your business. If you leave it alone, if it's left alone out there unchallenged, then the assumption from other people is that, I guess, it must be legitimate. That is the thing that I have read and seen on the internet, so it must be true, regardless of whether it was or it was not. That's kind of that assumption there. So while you are responding to that negative review, it's not necessarily that you should be thinking about responding to that individual themselves. Either they are completely mistaken, or maybe they're just not your customer. And that, I know, when you're a business owner, this is your baby, someone insulted your baby, but it can happen. And that's okay. They're just not your customer. If they don't like your products, that's just going to happen. But your communication isn't necessarily directed or intended for them. You're just accepting, hey, maybe this isn't my customer, but I need to have a response for all the people who are going to go see that review, see that response, because those are your customers or your potential customers. So you want to be thinking about how you respond to that, to communicate to those folks either politely, hey, I think you're mistaken because I've got a coffee trailer and I do not have roast beef sandwiches. All right, great. That answered that question. Or maybe like, hey, sorry you had a bad experience. You know, that is not what we're about. Like, we would like to make this right. We're going to send you a coupon, whether or not they accept it, they want to, whether or not you want them back as a customer. Maybe they were just not a great customer, but it's more about how you're presenting your business to the other individuals on that platform that will see that particular review. Same goes for those positive reviews. I love seeing when somebody's like, this coffee changed my life and I love you and your staff and it's great. And when they're like, man, the owner's like, that made my day. Love to hear. So there is some benefit both ways to engaging with those, whether they're positive or negative, to that engagement. But always be thinking about, you're not just communicating because it's to the public on the webs for all to see. You're also in that moment as it lives on through online forever, communicating with all the folks that are going to see that comment and those responses going forward, and those are potential customers.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned reviews. Usually, I mean, as a consumer, if I go on Facebook and I see that, okay, well, this place has a bunch of reviews, I like looking at the 1-star reviews first, because I usually want to see if I think somebody just had a bad day and they just wanted to take it out on somebody. But it does show a lot about the brand of a business by how they responded to it. And lately there's been this trend of being snarky, back to the 1-star reviews. And is it funny from a way outsider's perspective? Yeah, it's freaking hilarious. But as someone who's going to spend money at a place, you don't want to feel like other people think you're an asshole. You know what I mean? That's
yeah. Well, I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between a bad review and then trolling.
Right.
If it's a troll or whatever, obviously I'm going to have a snarky response. Yeah. But if it's a 1 or 2 stars, because, and we've had some bad reviews because at the beginning we had a really long lines and I was the only person on the bar. So I was trying to make hundreds of coffees at a pace of a regular coffee shop that should have 3 baristas. And so there were some complaints that people were waiting half an hour and it took so long to get their drinks. And it gave me an opportunity to answer them back and apologize. And hey guys, I'm so sorry it took you that long. Just letting you know, it was just me behind the bar. I had 50 drinks before you. It's just the nature of, an espresso machine. Next time you come back, if there's not a long line, let me have your coffee's going to be on me, blah, blah, blah. But if someone's commenting about, oh, I don't like how you are on Instagram, whatever, that has nothing to do with my product. And so I think that there is truly a difference. And I do want to comment on Xander saying hey, you should respond good or bad. And it sucks because so many people are oh, I hate social media. Why? It's dude, it's the way of the world now. We got to accept it. We got to utilize it and just make it our friend. Don't make social media your enemy. Use it as a tool. It is a tool, truly. It can change for the good. You can use it to market. It doesn't have to be some type of scary atmosphere, but I do believe that you should be responding as much as you can. Of course, if you don't have time, I can't answer all the questions sometimes and I feel bad, but I try to do as much as I can to show that I care, to show that I am listening, that I am taking notes, and I want what's best for the customers. And I do, they're the reasons why my business is in business. So I do think that is a very good point. But at the end of the day, how you conduct yourself is online will be forever. So, people, they take screenshots of that shit now. So it's you gotta be, but the thing is, for me, if I know that I'm going to be bold and loud in some type of way, I am accepting that this is going to be a footprint on the internet, and I'm going to be okay with that. And that's okay too. Some people need honesty. It's not always going to be rainbows. It's not always going to be completely nice, but there has to be some level of respect, I think. But it's the real world, you know what I mean? So
I think that's the beauty of being really confident in your brand, right? Which is kind of goes back to the whole point of why we're doing this class is ultimately you have to know your brand before you can make any decisions on how you're going to conduct yourself online, or else you're just going to be really, really lost and not know how to respond to those types of things. So I think that's awesome. If there aren't any other questions, I guess I will leave you guys with this. Xander and Jackie, if somebody jumped on right now, they missed the entire class, or everybody who's stuck around the entire time, but they're going to just be brain zapped at the end of it and not know anything. If you could give one piece of marketing advice for someone just starting a business, what would it be?
I'll throw out there as the business guy. Your marketing needs to have a return on investment. You have to be able to that time, that money, limited, valuable. Make sure you're getting something for your marketing efforts and you're thinking about it strategically.
Oh boy. I would say be truthful, honest, and your authentic self as much as you possibly can, to the point where people think that they know who you are without even having met you. There is a huge level of fear and vulnerability that comes with that, because you're just like, oh, I'm just running a food truck. But because the phone and the internet, like, because people have such access to you, there is almost an expectation of who's this person, good or bad. Like, people just want to know who you are. And I think bringing yourself and your like humanness to your social media is going to be the most important. You can literally, like, for example, there was a vendor the other day that accidentally, their recipe wasn't very good, like, you know, ironed out, because it was a brand new recipe they were trying out, and the dough happened to be kind of raw in all of the things that they were serving. And people, you know, a few people messaged them and was like, hey, the product that you gave me kind of sucked. It was like a little bit raw. You know, the dough wasn't very good. And the next day they posted an apology and just being like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, I was trying out a new recipe. I made a huge mistake. I did not mean, you know, you guys can get complete refund. But to me, that is so much more powerful than not responding or not saying anything, or, you know, being private about it. But this person went public about it and just was like a normal human. Like, we all make mistakes. Like, and so I think that if you bring yourself and like your human like experience to your social media, I think that that is going to take you way further than any like perfect photo or any type of perfectly crafted graphic or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, that's just crap. What's going to really take you far is like yourself. So I would say be yourself.
Boom, like invest in you, invest in your marketing. I love it.
Yes.
Well, that pretty much wraps it up, you guys. We've got some stragglers hanging in there, and I appreciate everybody, you know, watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, and I obviously appreciate you, Jackie, and you, Xander, on being here. It's always a fun time when I get to hang out on StreamYard with anybody who's smarter than me, which is 100% of the time. So I really appreciate you guys. And of course, anybody watching this later, this is going to be posted on our Facebook page for millenniums. Comment and let us know what other questions you have. We'll make sure to get those questions to Xander, to Jackie, to other food truck experts in Kansas City, in the United States, in the world. Whoever we need to get you connected with, we will. So that being said, Xander, Jackie, thank you so much.
Thank you, audience, for being excited. I love all the comments. I've been reading them. If I didn't exactly respond to them, we are happy to have you. And then Jackie, so awesome to
Thank you.
do a class with you. And Hannah, as always, love working with the library and all, making this all possible for everyone. So
we love it. We love it. And you know, somewhere in this massive comments, there's a survey link. So you guys would be doing the library a huge favor, but mostly me a huge favor if you guys would fill out that survey. It's my personal goal to get at least 8 people to fill that survey out. So if 8 people fill out the survey, I will post a selfie tomorrow wearing my very favorite Halloween sweatshirt. So if you guys want to know more about what that looks like, then please fill out that survey and check out the Square One Facebook page. How's that for teasing your audience?
Nice.
All right. Well, please fill out that survey. Tune in on November 16th for some regulation rundowns, and we will see you guys then. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Thank you guys.